Hey guys, it's Woody the Unexceptional Gamer, and I had this idea that I'd make a video for what to do when you first get Black Ops 2. And you can take these pieces of advice and pick the ones that work for you and which ones don't. But here goes. So, first off, before you jump into a public match, it might be a nice idea to hop into custom games and play by yourself against the bots for a little bit. The bots are far better in Black Ops 2 than they were in Black Ops 1, and they weren't bad in Black Ops 1. You can play domination, you can play objective-based modes, and they're pretty cool. You also get a chance to play with all sorts of unlocks that you're not going to have right out of the gate in multiplayer. Setting up the game is pretty straightforward. I chose domination, and I edited the game rules so that it only played to 100 points, and that's because it takes a little while to play, and I was anxious to do it. As far as the maps, I played them all. I started on Aftermath, went alphabetically down the line, and that way when I hit multiplayer, I already had an idea for the traffic patterns. I already had an idea for what people were going to do, even though they were bots, and what I was going to see, and I didn't walk into multiplayer feeling quite as behind as I would have otherwise. So that's my first little tip for you guys. The next thing, create a class. If there's one thing I want to tell you about create a class, it is set your stuff up not just between games. That wasn't that articulate, but what I was doing for a long time, and you can see there's a class here, is I would have my classes set up between games, and I felt like I was lost. And you might think you know the pick 10 system. I thought I knew the pick 10 system, but then when I bounced into it, I didn't. I felt like I was always hopelessly short on time, worried about that damn, game clock ticking at me. And it takes a little while to get used to the new stuff and see what you like. I don't think those are not my real classes. Here, if I go to here, I can look at the classes that I've actually been using. So, first off, the MTAR and the MP7 are legit guns, and you get them super early. They might even both... I know the MTAR is unlocked as soon as you get create a class. I think the MP7 might be as well, but I've forgotten a little bit. Those are both viable guns, and I love that when they do that in a Call of Duty. Not to knock Battlefield, but one of the things about Battlefield is your player gets better and better as you advance. You unlock better guns, you unlock better attachments, and a guy who has more time in game can beat a guy who's new to the game, even if his shot's not as good because his class is better. BioShock did that too in their multiplayer. Back on topic. In this game, the moment that you get to your create a class unlocks, you can set up some pretty competitive classes, and your classes are not really the reason you're not doing well. If you're not doing well, it's because of map knowledge or something else, skill on the stick, because the guns and the perks that you get right out of the gate are pretty good, and that's an awesome thing. Another thing, well, of course, be sure to have all 10 slots filled, right? Do you see in the top right where it says 10 out of 10? Each one of these classes is taking advantage of all 10 spots in the pick 10. It sounds obvious, but I promise you, I had played games where I only had 8 out of the 10 spots there, where I could have had maybe another concussion or better attachments or things like that. But I didn't because I was just frantically setting up classes in between games. So on the create a class thing, as a recap, MP7's good, MTAR is good. Be sure to take a little time and actually get your classes the way you want. If you're playing with a couple friends, you probably all need a minute to back out of the lobby, set up your classes, and then go jump in again. I didn't realize that Primary Gunfighter was going to be as good as it is. The laser sight, if you don't know, is like steady aim for your gun. Fast mag, is a like sleight of hand almost, and the quick draw handle lets you aim down sights faster. There are a lot of attachments you can have on your gun, and if you set them up right, it's almost like having specialist, and not quite specialist, but you know how you become a super soldier and you start winning every fair fight because you had your specialist bonus in Modern Warfare 3. You only lose when you got outplayed, but all the ties went your way. That to me is what Primary Gunfighter kind of does for you. When you stack things up like this, then things start going your way. I don't have Scavenger open yet, but I think that would be a great perk 2 option. Primary Gunfighter combined with Scavenger, and that way, even though you're using a wild card down there, you have Scavenger, so you don't really need your secondary. And I want to talk about that too. At first, I was getting rid of like both my tacticals, or a tactical and a lethal, to make room for a wild card. If you don't understand what I'm talking about with wild cards, at the bottom here, there are a couple things you can do, right? Like perk 1, 2, and 3 greed. They allow you to have 2 perks. All right, that's kind of fair. You can see this one has perk 2 greed, and I stacked up with toughness, which is like flinch in Modern Warfare 3, where if you're shot, you can still stay on target, and fast hands, which is like sleight of hand. Perk 2 greed let me have 2 of those perks, and what did I give up for it? In this case, this thing doesn't have any attachments. More commonly, though, I like to give up my secondary and a tactical. I feel like I can live with 1 lethal, 1 tactical, and no secondary, and just be a primary gunfighter all the time. The maps are pretty small, so you'll find yourself, even after you get a kill, you'll find guns on the ground. Whereas, like say the old Black Ops, oftentimes I got kills across the map, and that weapon way over there was of no use to me. This one's so busy, almost, I don't want to say Modern Warfare 3-ish, but it's really busy, so I'm not short on opportunities to pick up new guns. That's what I'm saying. So I predict, and it's early to say, that we're going to see a lot of people not have secondaries in this game. They're just going to be Look at this. I hardly have any classes with a secondary attached. And this one I think only has a secondary because I haven't opened up attachments for this shotgun. So yeah, that's what you're going to see a lot of. Oh, there's another thing, another sort of, first bought the game tip. And this one isn't really gameplay related, but it is Xbox related. So bear with me as I head over here on my way. See, I'm doing this live. All right, so in here, if I hit game details, which is X, it'll pop you into the game. Not into the game itself, but into like this menu screen on the game. And mine's going to say delete. But if you just got this game, it's going to say install. And what it does is it copies the contents of the disk to the hard drive. And a lot of people say it makes it run more smoothly, but that's not why I do it. A lot of people say it makes it load faster, and that is undeniable. It actually does load quicker, but that's not why I do it either. When you install this game to your hard drive, rather than run off the CD all the time, it just sort of checks to make sure the CD's present and runs off the hard drive. That makes your Xbox nearly silent, which I appreciate a lot. And, if you have one of the older one, in theory, it makes it run a little cooler. It has less wear and tear on the CD drive or DVD drive. So I like to install games that I know I'm going to spend a lot of time in to the hard drive the day I get them. And then I just never worry about it. Also, if you scratch a disk, then you're sort of out of luck most of the time. But if it's installed to your hard drive, it almost always, still recognizes it as the disk, and you're good to go. So, it's resistant to disk scratches. It runs quieter. It runs cooler. It doesn't wear out your DVD drive. That's why I like to install games to my hard drive. So, that's sort of my, what to do when you first get Black Ops 2. Don't forget, if you run on Tactical, to change to Tactical right away. But if you take my advice of playing against bots, that'll take care of itself. And there'll be more in-depth tips and tricks coming. But this is sort of a, hey, you just bought Black Ops 2. This is how you start. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed the video, if you're interested in Call of Duty, you can subscribe by clicking that blue box in the top right corner. 2 vids you may have missed. Black Ops 2 Easter egg. Here's something you're not going to see anywhere else. And then on the right, your Black Ops 2 questions answered. So check those out. Have a good day. And don't forget to click on like if you like the video.